Have you ever been curious about an Overwatch player who pretty much exclusively plays mystery heroes with rank on a tier list? Who primarily have had support? Golly. Then I've got news for you.
Let's get right into it. So we've got our tiers: best in slot, S, A, B, C, D, and then just the trash. We're going to start with the trash tier. Let's start with tank. And the most obvious choice would be, unfortunately, Wrecking Ball. As much as he's cool, he doesn't really do much in mystery heroes. Even if you have 2 or 3 of them, they can kind of stall, but other than that, it's not very good. And then for DPS, it's going to be our favorite Rock Muncher. Again, he could stall, or they can stall pretty well, but other than that, they're not very good. And also joining them will be, where is she? Anran. That's Vendetta. Where is Anran? Where? There we go. Anran. Again, I've never had many issues with Anrans, even with 2 or 3 of them, so unfortunately, she's going in trash tier. And joining her would be her brother, Wu Yang, if I can find him. There we are. Again, Wu Yang's cool. He's kind of gimmicky. There's nothing really he does particularly well in mystery heroes, even with 2 or 3 of them. Not very threatening, not very supportive. All in all, he's not terrible, just not very good. And then for supports, there's only one, and it's very sad. It's my main, or my first main, Zenyatta. Double Discord, kind of strong, but it doesn't really do anything. I don't think they stack. Very slow. A lot of these heroes have movements, unfortunately. Zen just doesn't cut it out. And then for our D tier, which is sad, because as much as I'm trash with him, I do love him. It's going to be Hanzo. He's just not very threatening, even with his one-shot capabilities, because he's easily to be ran down, even with his one lunge. And then joining him in the DPS role is unfortunately Mr. Junkrat. Not very threatening. Multiple tires or in very spammy maps, he could excel. Otherwise, he's just terrible. Especially if you can't map vote. Not that map voting would do anything with mystery heroes. And the next, the iconic, most hated supports, Mercy and Moira. Mercy's cool. Double res could be kind of annoying. Triple res even. That's the only reason why she's on the trash tier. And then with Moira, she does have the movement, so she won't get ran down by 2 or 3 of these other heroes. But other than that, she doesn't really do much. And then for our C tier, we got the 2 bottom tiers. We'll just go in order from top to bottom so I don't have to keep looking for them. Bastion is very annoying with 2 or 3 of them. But there are some other DPS that are kind of, well, there's only one other DPS I would consider more annoying. So for him, top of S tier. And speaking of the more annoying, Cass. Best in slot, in my opinion. 2 or 3 Casses. Casses in general just run lobbies. And if you have 2 or 3 real good ones, they slam. I've had Cass a couple times, a couple clips with Cass. He is a monster. Especially if you can get decent supports, you're good. Widow, again, I think she's S tier, the one shot. Having 2 or 3 of them holding down multiple angles, pretty good. Diva, I would consider best in slot. If you have 3 divas, which I have gone against, it is infinite defense matrix, and that is just heinous to deal with, especially as a main hit scan player. Screw Diva. Genji, I'm going to throw in C tier. Maybe in D tier, he'll join his brother Hanzo. He just doesn't do much. I think a good Genji, B tier. Most Genjis and mystery heroes, D tier. Next would be Lucio. I would consider an A tier or an S tier. A tier. Because I don't think his healing aura stacks. Other than that, Beat's real strong. He is a strong hero in general. Just I don't think 2 or 3 of them really bumps him up at all. Mei. Now Mei's interesting because she does have the survivability, hits hard, can freeze. I would consider an A tier. Multiple of them doesn't really do anything unless you have tanks that can get like walled off, create the Berlin Wall. Otherwise, I don't think she's super crazy. Pharah, C tier. Doesn't really help with multiple Pharahs because that's the way I think of it. 2, maybe 3 of these heroes. How does that stack up? And I don't think Pharah does exceptionally well with multiple of the same character. Same with Reaper. I will go into B tier just because he has more sustain than Pharah. Reinhardt, S tier. Right behind Diva, for the same case, 3 shields. You can pretty much block all incoming damage forever. Hog, A tier. As much as I love Hog, multiple Hogs can be annoying. Super sustainable. Actually, I'm going to throw him in A tier. If you have 3 Hogs on your team, you're just winning. You don't need any healers. You don't need anything. You win. Soldier, I would say, A tier. Same with Mei. Very strong with his stim perk or his healing station. Doesn't really do much. I would consider him to be the worst hit scan. So I would throw him behind Mei. But he's good. I don't think multiple of them really does anything besides, more sustained damage. Sim. As much as I think Sim is cool with 2 or 3 of them, you get 12 turrets, and 3 teleports, which is cool in general, but a lot of these maps aren't very good for Sim, so I would put her in high B tier. Torb. Kind of like Sim, but his turrets are 10 times stronger, especially if you get the perk where it overloads his turret. He is never dying, or the turret is, because it gets like 300, 400 HP, and it hits hard. Torbs are just insane. Especially if you have 3 of them. Oh, you're dead. Tracer, I would consider just A tier. I mean, Tracer in general is a pretty strong hero. 3 of them doesn't really do anything. Besides, I guess, be more pesky. Winton, A tier, or S tier. A lot of the tanks are going to be up here. Just because having 3 of the same tank is insane. 3 bubbles, especially if you have heal bubbles, insane. Zarya. I almost put him best in slot, only because having 3 Zaryas, 6 bubbles in total, your beams don't really go down, especially in 6v6. You can contain a high energy. Very strong. And her ult grab combos with so many different ults, it's just super strong. Now Ana I would consider the best in slot for supports. 2, 3 nanos, 2, 3 sleeves, 2, 3 nades, super strong. Sombra I also am putting in S tier. Now I know Sombra isn't very good and just normal 5v5 or 6v6, but if you have 2 or 3 of them, very annoying. Multiple hacks, multiple EMPs, multiple Sombras will run. Now, for Risa, I am putting it in D tier. Horse is cool. It's very strong in 5v5 or 6v6. Having 2 or 3 different horses, most of the time just get ran down. I've had fights with 2 or 3 enemy Orisas on the same team, and for some reason it just doesn't stack well. And I'm not sure if I fully understand, or maybe I just haven't run into any decent Zarya players, but none of them seem to really hold their own. Doomfist, I'm putting in high C. Again, very sustainable, very strong. Good Dooms, A tier. Normal Dooms, C tier. Having multiple of them doesn't really change anything. Besides, I guess, if you have 2 or 3 of them, you're just done for. Brig. Almost put in best in slot. But I don't think her Inspire also stacks. But she is strong. Very annoying. Especially if you get the good whip shot perk. you are good. I've had many games with Brig where I've just run lobbies. Very strong in general, especially with Ana being one of the best. If you can get an Ana and a Brig, you guys are chilling. Ashe is also S tier. S tier is very packed. Maybe I'll throw I'll throw Sombra down in very high S. Just to keep it less cluttered. I think Ashe is slightly better than Widow. Let me reorganize these a little bit. Yeah. I think Ashe is slightly better than Widow in terms of just more pressure, especially with Dynamite. And if you can get the Dynamite and the double shot, I think it's Viper, double shot, takes them, you're set. If you have 2 or 3 of them with those exact perks, very strong. 2 or 3 Bobs, very annoying. Same with Baptiste, I would say, with slightly better than Brig. Multiple Immortals, multiple windows, multiple burst heals, and Baptiste is just generally a strong support. I would consider very, very good. Sigma could be up here with, multiple shields covering many angles, but I don't think Sigma in general is very strong. Multiple rocks, cool, but his shields just die too quick compared to something like Ryan's. So I would consider him high A, just not particularly well with the other tanks. Echo, here's the problem. I just never run into Echo in Mystery Heroes. In the 40 hours I've played, I've seen like 6 or 7 Echoes. And multiple duplication, multiple focus beam, multiple sticky bombs. It doesn't really do anything, really. Sojourn, again, same with Echo. I don't see very many Sojourn. But I would consider them slightly better. No, slightly worse. Because having 3 healing stations is much more powerful than anything Sojourn can bring. Very pesky, very much like Tracer. Just it doesn't add any team synergy or anything with multiple of them. A Queen is very strong. The only problem is she's very selfish in her kit. So I would consider her maybe a B, high B. I guess multiple of her alts, I don't know what it's called, Carnage or something, is alright. A lot of anti-heal, but in general, I just don't think multiple of JQ is going to do anything. Kiriko, multiple Suzus. She's multiple Suzus is good. Multiple rushes is good. Very annoying with her teleports. Very sustainable. I guess I would consider slightly worse than BAP, slightly worse than Brig. But again, pretty strong. Rom. I do like Rom. I think he's very strong. But I don't think multiple of them necessarily provide anything. Rushdown with multiple ROMs is insane. I'll give him that. And his shield, it's on a timer. Vortex isn't really good. So I guess high A. Lifeweaver. Almost got best in slot just because 2 or 3 games I've gone against 2 or 3 Weavers and it was infinite pools, infinite flowers. Pretty much you couldn't kill anything. So for that, it's getting the highest of S tiers. Almost beat Ana for best in slot, which is weird because Lifeweaver in general, it's the worst support, but in Mystery Heroes is somehow the best. It's almost the best. Ilari. Multiple pylons is good. Very strong damage. Decent sustain. But I don't think she compares to any of these other supports. So, I guess just middle of the pack A tier. I wouldn't even say that. B tier. Amalga is annoying. Especially with 3 of them. 3 runs. Cage is alright, I guess. But again, he's very selfish like JQ. So I'm going to throw him, I guess, in... I'll throw him in A. Because he is very prone to just running down lobbies. And if there's 3 of them with Cardiac, very hard to deal with. Especially if they have supports. Juno. Juno is good. Multiple speed rings. Decent poke. Really good heals. Her little tracking darts are pretty strong. But unless you can like sync it up with another Juno, I don't think she does particularly anything better than, again, with these other supports. I do think she's slightly better than Alari, so I might chuck Alari in C tier, which is sad because this is one of my main supports. Hazard, very annoying. He does have almost one-shot combo with his jump, wall, slash, and then shot. But in 6v6 Mystery Heroes with 2-3 of them, he doesn't do anything particularly strong compared to the rest of these other tanks. So I'm throwing him in low C. Or, sorry, high C. Freya, very obnoxious, strong poke, but having 2 or 3 of them doesn't really change anything. Her ult's kind of buns. I think she's worse than Pharah in general. Because they're both poke, but she's got more survivability, I would say. She does have better damage, but her ult is just so much worse than hers. Vendetta. I was thinking about throwing you in like C or B, but you're like the worst DPS right now, and having 2 or 3 of you doesn't really change that fact. So, sorry. I don't think you're the worst, though. I do think you're better than the Rock Muncher. Yeah, I think that's respectable. Domina is pretty strong in general, especially if she can relocate her shield. Having 2 or 3 of them would be kind of nightmarish with their shields, especially if they all stack them back to back to back, and then you have to go through 3 layers for each wall, especially on something like the first icon wall choke. Very strong. She does have decent damage, but I don't think she's better than JQ in general, but she is still pretty strong. And then Emery is decent. I don't think having multiple Emerys does anything. I do think his poke is slightly better than Freya's, so I'll put him slightly above Freya. Cat and Muziki. These 2, I don't know where I want to put them. Because multiple cats doesn't really do anything besides, I guess, harder to kill the supports. If you only have, like, Maze or Reapers, for example. But other than that, usually can be chipped down. And his ult is kind of buns, especially if you miss it, and I miss all my cat ults. I don't think he's better than Alari, so I'll chuck him slightly lower than Alari. And then Mizuki is cool in general. Again, with Lucio and Breck, I don't think his healing thing stacks. He does have decent movement. He doesn't have very high damage. But his chain is real strong, especially 2 or 3 chains. So for that, I think he is slightly better than Cat or Alari. Sierra, I just don't think is very strong in general. Very annoying. Her tracking dart, you just hide behind a wall. Her grenade is pretty strong. Her ult is pretty strong. So I do think she's better than some of these guys. But I do think she's better than Reaper and Sim. Yeah, I feel good with the highest of B tier for Sierra. And then Xion. In general, in 5v5 or 6v6, very strong hero. very high burst, decent mobility. Her ult's insane. And having 2 or 3 of those is even more nightmarish. So for that, I would consider her high A tier. And let's just go through those real quick. Yeah, I think I like this. Again, very subjective. I would be gladly to hear what other Mystery Hero players think in terms of all this. This is just my opinion. So yeah, let me know.